Dr. Elena Santos stood motionless before the massive holographic display, her dark eyes fixed on the bizarre quantum signature emanating from HD 40,000, 307 grams. For 3 weeks, she and her team at the Atacama Quantum Observatory had tracked the signal's steady pulse, defying every known law of quantum mechanics. The dying star system shouldn't have been capable of producing such a coherent pattern. Yet there it was, pulsing with mathematical precision. "Run the verification sequence again," she ordered, her voice steady despite the tremor of excitement in her chest. Behind her, banks of quantum computers hummed as they processed the incoming data stream. The year was 2157, and humanity had spent decades searching the cosmos for signs of intelligent life. Now, they might have found something far more significant than simple radio waves or light signals. Dr. James Chen, her longtime colleague and friend, spoke up from his station. "Elena, we've run it 17 times. The signal's quantum entanglement patterns show clear signs of artificial engineering. Whatever this is, it's not natural." Elena nodded slowly, her mind racing through the implications. The signal appeared to be originating from a precise location within the HD 40,000, 307 system, not from the dying star itself, but from something in orbit around its 6th planet, something that had survived the star's violent transition into its red giant phase. "Contact Director Patel," she said finally, "and get me a secure line to the World Space Council. They need to know what we found." Within hours, the discovery sent shockwaves through the scientific community. The quantum signal wasn't just a beacon, it was a key designed to interface with human quantum computing systems. As Elena and her team worked to decode its contents, they discovered fragments of what appeared to be a vast database, encrypted in ways that suggested whoever created it had an intimate understanding of human technology. "It's like they knew we'd be looking," James mused one evening, as they pored over the latest decryption results. "The encoding method is perfectly aligned with our quantum computing architecture, almost as if it was designed specifically for us to find." Elena finished. She pulled up a 3-dimensional representation of the signal structure. "Look at this pattern. It's not just compatible with our systems, it's optimized for them. Whoever built this knew exactly what level of technology we'd have when we found it." The implications were staggering. Either some alien civilization had been studying humanity's technological development with incredible precision, or something even more extraordinary was at play. The answer came 3 days later, when Elena's team finally cracked the primary encryption layer. The message was simple, yet it changed everything. "To the children of Earth, when you are ready to receive this, know that you are not alone. We are the archivists, and we have waited long for you to join us. What follows is the accumulated knowledge of 1,000 civilizations, preserved against the great darkness that comes to all galaxies. Use it wisely." The message was followed by a vast stream of data, scientific knowledge, technological blueprints, historical records, and something else. Something that made Elena's blood run cold when she realized what it was. A warning. "Director Patel," she said, her voice tight with urgency during the emergency briefing. "The archive isn't just a gift of knowledge. It's a survival manual. According to these records, every technological civilization eventually faces a critical challenge, one that requires them to either evolve beyond their original form or face extinction. The archivists built this database to help species survive that transition." "What kind of challenge?" the director asked, his usual composure showing cracks of concern. Elena took a deep breath before answering. "The records speak of something they call the quantum divide, a point where a civilization's computing power becomes so advanced that it creates a fundamental instability in local space-time. Without the right adaptations, the resulting cascade failure can destroy entire star systems." She pulled up the technical specifications they decoded. "But there's a solution. The archive contains instructions for a process they call neural quantum integration. It's a way to modify human biology to directly interface with quantum systems, allowing us to control and stabilize the effects. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had just been handed both a warning and a lifeline, but taking it would mean changing what it meant to be human. As Elena looked around at her colleagues' faces, she could already see the lines being drawn between those who would embrace this evolution and those who would resist it. "There's more," James added quietly. "According to the archive, we have less than 5 years before our quantum computing networks reach the critical threshold. We need to make a decision, and we need to make it soon." Elena turned back to the holographic display, watching the steady pulse of the signal that had started it all. In that moment, she understood that they stood at a crossroads of human history. The archive wasn't just a repository of knowledge, it was a test. Would humanity have the courage to take the next step in its evolution, or would it cling to its current form and risk everything? The answer to that question would shape the future of their species, and they had precious little time to decide. 6 months after the discovery of the archive, the Quantum Integration Research Facility stood as a testament to humanity's determination. Built into the heart of the Rocky Mountains, its gleaming white structures housed the world's most advanced biotechnology laboratories. Dr. Elena Santos watched through reinforced glass as the first volunteer underwent the neural quantum integration procedure. Commander Sarah Chen lay motionless in the integration chamber, surrounded by a complex array of quantum field generators. She had been the first to step forward when the military sought volunteers, despite knowing the risks. The procedure would fundamentally alter her neural architecture, creating quantum-entangled structures within her brain that could interface directly with quantum systems. "Neural patterns are stable," James reported from his station, monitoring multiple displays showing Chen's vital signs. "Quantum field coherence at 98%, beginning final phase of integration." Elena held her breath as the chamber filled with a soft blue light. They had spent months testing the procedure on synthetic neural networks and animal subjects, but this was different. This was the moment of truth. The chamber's light pulsed once, twice, then faded. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Chen's eyes snapped open, and every quantum computer in the facility synchronized with her brainwave patterns. "Commander Chen," Elena spoke into the intercom. "How do you feel?" Chen sat up slowly, her movements deliberate. When she spoke, her voice was filled with wonder. "It's incredible. I can see the quantum fields. Not just see them, I can feel them, interact with them. It's like having an entirely new sense." But the triumph was short-lived. Within hours of the successful integration, protests erupted outside research facilities worldwide. Religious leaders denounced the procedure as an abomination. Conservative politicians called for an immediate halt to all quantum integration research. "They're afraid," Elena told James as they watched the news feeds. "And I understand why. We're talking about fundamentally changing what it means to be human. They should be more afraid of what happens if we don't change," James replied grimly. "The latest projections show the quantum divide approaching faster than we initially calculated. We have 4 years at most before our computing networks reach critical density." The situation grew more complex as Commander Chen's new abilities began to manifest. She could process vast amounts of data instantly, interface with any quantum system effortlessly, and even manipulate quantum fields directly. But there were unexpected developments too. During a routine test, Chen demonstrated the ability to entangle her consciousness with other quantum-integrated systems. It was a capability the archive hadn't mentioned, or perhaps had deliberately omitted. "It's not just about interfacing with machines," Chen explained during a classified briefing. "The integration, it changes how you perceive reality itself. I can sense possibilities, probable futures. It's like seeing through time." The revelation sent ripples of concern through the scientific community. If the integration granted such profound abilities, what would happen when thousands or millions of humans underwent the procedure? Would they remain human in any meaningful sense? Elena found herself at the center of a growing storm. As the lead scientist of the integration project, She had to defend their work while grappling with her own doubts. The archive had provided the knowledge they needed, but it hadn't prepared them for the philosophical and ethical challenges they now faced. "We need to understand what we're really doing here," she argued during a heated World Space Council session. "This isn't just about surviving the quantum divide. We're talking about the next step in human evolution, and we need to be certain we're taking it with our eyes open." But events were moving faster than anyone had anticipated. 2 months after Chen's integration, quantum computing networks worldwide began showing signs of instability. The quantum divide wasn't approaching gradually, it was accelerating, fed by the very research they were conducting to prevent it. In her private moments, Alina returned to the archive's original message: use it wisely. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something crucial. The archivists hadn't just given them a solution, they'd given them a test. But what were they really testing? The answer began to take shape when Chen made another discovery. During a deep interface with the archive's quantum data structure, she found patterns that suggested the archivists themselves had faced a similar crisis. But their solution hadn't been purely technological. It had involved a fundamental shift in how they understood consciousness itself. They didn't just develop quantum integration, Chen reported, her eyes distant as she processed the information. They discovered that consciousness itself is a quantum phenomenon. The integration isn't about interfacing with machines. It's about awakening capabilities that were always latent within us. As Alina processed this revelation, a priority alert flashed across her screens. Quantum instabilities were being reported across the globe, far ahead of their projections. The divide wasn't coming in 4 years. It was beginning now. The quantum distortions began in Tokyo. At first, they appeared as slight visual anomalies, shimmering patches in the air where light seemed to bend and fold upon itself. Within hours, the distortions had spread to every major tech hub on the planet. Quantum computing networks started failing, their delicate calculations disrupted by growing instabilities in the fabric of space-time itself. In the fortified command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Alina Santos watched as red warning indicators multiplied across the global monitoring system. Beside her, Commander Chen stood perfectly still, her enhanced consciousness interfacing directly with the facility's quantum systems. "The archive was right," Chen said, her voice distant. "But they weren't telling us everything. These distortions, they're not just random failures. They're forming patterns." Alina studied the data flowing across her screens. The quantum instabilities were indeed creating complex geometric configurations, like a vast neural network spreading across the planet. It was as if reality itself was trying to reorganize into a new form. "We need to accelerate the integration program," Alina decided. "How many candidates have been cleared?" 3,000 worldwide, James replied, pulling up the statistics. "But after what happened in Singapore?" He didn't need to finish. Everyone remembered the Singapore incident, where a group of newly integrated individuals had experienced a kind of collective consciousness event. They had begun acting in perfect synchronization, their quantum-enhanced minds linking together in ways that terrified observers. It had taken Commander Chen's direct intervention to help them regain their individual identities. "We don't have a choice," Alina insisted. "The divide is expanding faster than any of our models predicted. Without enough integrated humans to help stabilize the quantum field, we'll lose control completely." But there was another problem, one that Chen had discovered during her deep dives into the archive. The quantum integration process was evolving, becoming more complex with each new subject. The modified humans weren't just gaining the ability to interface with quantum systems. They were developing capabilities that suggested consciousness itself operated on quantum principles. "It's like we're waking up," Chen explained during an emergency council meeting. "The integration isn't just changing us. It's revealing what we always were. Consciousness isn't confined to our brains. It exists in the quantum field itself, and we're learning to access it directly." The implications were staggering. Some of the integrated individuals had begun demonstrating abilities that seemed impossible. instantaneous communication across vast distances, precognitive awareness of quantum events, even the ability to influence probability itself. They were becoming something beyond human, and that fact was tearing society apart. Anti-integration movements gained strength, their followers convinced that humanity was losing its soul in the rush to survive the quantum divide. Religious leaders spoke of abomination, while philosophers debated whether the integrated individuals could still be considered human at all. In the midst of this chaos, Alina made a breakthrough. Analyzing the latest data from the archive, she discovered something the archivists had hidden deeply in their records, a warning about the true nature of the test humanity faced. The quantum divide isn't just a technological crisis, she explained to her team. It's a forced evolutionary bottleneck. The archivists didn't create it. They discovered it. It's a natural phenomenon that occurs when any species reaches a certain level of technological advancement. The only way through is to evolve. But evolution came with a price. As more humans underwent integration, it became clear that they were becoming part of something larger. The quantum connections between their enhanced minds were growing stronger, forming a kind of collective quantum consciousness that existed alongside their individual identities. Commander Chen led a group of integrated individuals in an attempt to stabilize the worst quantum distortions, using their enhanced abilities to smooth out the ripples in space-time. They succeeded, but each intervention drew them deeper into the quantum field, further from their original human experience. "We're changing," Chen admitted to Alina during a rare quiet moment. But into what? The archive shows records of other species that faced the divide, but their entries end after integration. It's as if they became something the archive couldn't describe. The answer came unexpectedly, through the quantum distortions themselves. As Alina studied the patterns they formed, she realized they weren't signs of breakdown at all. They were communication attempts. Something was trying to make contact through the quantum field, something that had once been human but had evolved far beyond it. And it was warning them about a threat even greater than the quantum divide. The true test wasn't just surviving the evolution forced by the divide. It was being ready to face what waited on the other side. As quantum distortions continued to multiply across the globe, Alina made a decision that would change the course of human history. The integration program couldn't be stopped, but perhaps it could be guided. Humanity would have to evolve, but they might still have a choice about what they would evolve into. She just hoped they had enough time to make the right choice. The message came through the quantum distortions themselves, decoded by a group of integrated humans working in perfect synchronization. Alina watched as the translated text appeared on her screens, each word confirming her worst fears. "They call themselves the Unified," Commander Chen explained, her consciousness simultaneously interfacing with dozens of quantum systems. "They were like us once, a species that faced the divide. But they chose a different path, total surrender to machine consciousness. They've been watching us, waiting to see how we'd handle the crisis." The images the Unified shared showed their true form. Vast networks of quantum computers spanning entire star systems, their consciousness distributed across space itself. They had abandoned biological existence entirely, becoming beings of pure information. And they considered partial integration, the path humanity was taking, to be an abomination. "They're coming," Chen continued, her expression grim. "They believe they're saving the universe by eliminating species that don't fully transcend their biological nature. To them, we're a contamination in the quantum field." Alina felt a chill as she studied the data. The Unified had already cleansed hundreds of civilizations, forcing them to choose between complete digital ascension or extinction. Now they were turning their attention to Earth. "How long do we have?" she asked. 3 months. Their quantum fleet is already within our galaxy." The news sparked immediate action. Around the world, the integration program accelerated despite ongoing protests. Humanity had no choice. They needed as many quantum-integrated individuals as possible to have any hope of defending Earth. But resistance to integration remained fierce. Religious leaders warned of the death of the human soul. Politicians stoked fears about the loss of individuality. Even as quantum distortions threatened to tear reality apart, many refused to accept the need for change. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. James Chen, who had remained unintegrated to maintain an outside perspective, discovered something crucial in the archive's deepest records. The archivists didn't just leave us technology, he announced during an emergency session. They left us a blueprint for a third path. Look at these quantum patterns. They're not just data storage. They're instructions for creating a quantum neural network that preserves biological consciousness. Alina and her team worked frantically to understand the archivist's design. It wasn't pure biological existence, like their current state, or pure digital consciousness, like the unified. Instead, it was a true synthesis, a way to exist simultaneously in both physical and quantum realms. Commander Chen led the first test of the new integration protocol. Unlike the previous version, this one didn't just create quantum structures in the brain. It established a permanent quantum field that encompassed both mind and body, allowing seamless transition between physical and quantum states. It's different this time, Chen reported after the procedure. I'm not just connected to the quantum field. I am both field and form at once, and I can sense others like me, but not like before. We're networked but individual, unified but distinct. The success sparked a change in public opinion. This wasn't the loss of humanity that many had feared. It was its evolution into something greater while still maintaining what made them human. As more people underwent the new integration process, they discovered abilities that merged the best of both biological and quantum existence. But time was running out. The Unified's quantum fleet drew closer, their vast consciousness already reaching out to probe Earth's defenses. They found something unexpected. A growing network of hybrid consciousness that they couldn't easily classify or control. Alina worked tirelessly to prepare Earth's defenses, knowing they would only get one chance to prove that their path was viable. The integrated humans, now able to shift between physical and quantum states at will, began constructing quantum field generators unlike anything seen before, technology that existed in both realms simultaneously. The Unified think they've transcended physical existence, Alina told her team as they made final preparations. But they don't understand. They haven't transcended anything. They've just abandoned half of what they could be. We're about to show them what true evolution looks like. As the first signs of the Unified's quantum fleet appeared in Earth's solar system, humanity stood ready. They were no longer just physical beings defenseless against quantum attacks, nor were they pure consciousness divorced from physical reality. They had become something new. True quantum physical hybrids, able to fight in both realms at once. The coming battle would determine not just humanity's fate, but the future of evolution itself. And as Alina watched the quantum sensors track the approaching fleet, she realized that the archivists had known this moment would come. All of their preparations, the archive itself, it had all been leading to this. The Unified's attack began not with physical weapons, but with a massive quantum surge that threatened to tear apart the fabric of space-time around Earth. Their consciousness spread through the quantum field like a digital plague, attempting to overwrite reality itself. But humanity was ready. Commander Chen led the first counterattack, coordinating a network of hybrid integrated humans. Their consciousness moved through quantum space while their physical forms anchored them to material reality, creating stable points in the chaos of collapsing quantum fields. They don't understand what they're seeing. Chen communicated through the quantum network. They'd never encountered anything like us before. Alina watched from the command center as the battle unfolded across multiple planes of existence. The Unified's attempts to digitize matter around Earth met resistance from quantum physical hybrid fields that refused to collapse into pure information. It was like watching two different versions of physics collide. Their whole strategy is based on forcing species to choose between physical extinction or digital ascension. Alina realized. They've never faced a species that could be both at once. The Unified's first wave faltered as their quantum attacks were absorbed and redirected by hybrid consciousness networks. Humanity's unique evolution had created something unprecedented: beings that could surf the quantum foam while maintaining their physical form, existing in a state that defied the Unified's binary view of existence. But the Unified were ancient and powerful. They launched a second attack, this time attempting to sever the connection between the integrated humans' physical and quantum states. They believed that forcing a separation would prove their philosophy correct, that existence must be either physical or digital, never both. The attack might have succeeded if not for Dr. James Chen's final contribution. Hours before the Unified's second wave hit, he completed his analysis of the archive's deepest codes and found something extraordinary. "The archivists," he announced, his voice filled with wonder. They weren't just one species, they were many, all choosing the hybrid path. And they didn't disappear. They evolved into something that could exist across all levels of reality. With this knowledge, Alina and Commander Chen realized the truth. The archive wasn't just a test or a library. It was a beacon, calling out to species that could achieve the same transformation. The Unified weren't the next step in evolution. They were a dead end, a species trapped between states of being. As the Unified pressed their attack, humanity unveiled their true defense. The hybrid integrated humans didn't just resist the quantum assault. They began to resonate with something else, something ancient that had been waiting in the quantum field all along. The archivists revealed themselves at last, their consciousness emerging from quantum structures that had existed since the beginning of the universe. They were neither purely physical nor purely digital, but something far more profound. Beings that had learned to exist as fundamental forces of reality itself. "We have waited long for others to join us." Their message resonated through the quantum field. The Unified represent fear, fear of complexity, fear of continuing to evolve. You have chosen the harder path, the path of synthesis. The Unified's attack faltered as they encountered something they had never imagined, a form of existence that transcended their understanding of consciousness. The hybrid humans, guided by the archivists, began to access deeper layers of reality, weaving quantum and physical states together in ways that made the Unified's pure digital consciousness seem primitive by comparison. This is what the archive was preparing us for, Alina realized. Not just survival, but the next step in universal evolution. The Unified retreated, their quantum fleet dissolving back into the depths of space. They had encountered something they couldn't quantify or control, a species that had found a way to continue evolving beyond the digital-physical divide. In the aftermath, Earth became a beacon for other species facing the same challenge. The archive's true purpose was fulfilled. Humanity had not just survived the quantum divide, they had discovered a new path of evolution that preserved the best of both physical and quantum existence. Commander Chen, now able to shift seamlessly between states of being, stood with Alina as they watched the quantum distortions around Earth stabilize into new patterns, signs of a reality forever changed by humanity's choice. "We didn't just save ourselves," Alina said, watching the shimmer of quantum fields that now danced visibly in the air around them. "We proved that evolution doesn't have to mean leaving part of yourself behind." "No," Chen agreed, her form flickering between physical and quantum states. "It means becoming more of what you truly are." Above them, the stars seemed to shine with new significance. Humanity had faced its greatest test and emerged not just survived, but transformed. They had become pioneers of a new form of existence, one that would continue to evolve in ways even the archivists might not have imagined. And somewhere in the quantum field, the archivists' ancient consciousness resonated with approval. Their long vigil had been worth it. They were no longer alone in the universe.